Let's be honest for a second. We all know that living with a cat is basically like living with a tiny, furry, unpredictable roommate who doesn't pay rent but somehow owns the entire apartment. You buy them a $50 orthopedic bed, and they choose to sleep in the cardboard box it came in. You try to pet them, and they look at you like you just insulted their ancestors. We brush off their weird quirks because, well, cats will be cats, right? But what if I told you that some of these everyday, totally normal-looking behaviours are actually a desperate cry for help? Do you think your cat peed on your favourite rug just to spite you? Or that they are hiding under the bed because they are just independent? Think again. Today we are going completely undercover into feline psychology to reveal the 7 secret signs your cat is suffering without you even knowing it. Is your fluffy dictator broken? Or are they hiding a painful secret? Stick around because by the end of this video, you will look at your cat's behaviour in a completely different way. And hey, before we dive into the matrix of the feline mind, drop a comment below and tell me, what is the absolute weirdest thing your cat does? Let's see who has the craziest furry roommate. To truly understand why our cats are such absolute masters of disguise, we have to take a quick trip back in time. Long before your cat was sleeping 14 hours a day on your clean laundry, their ancestors were fierce, independent hunters roaming the wild. But here is the catch. While cats are incredible predators, they are also small enough to be prey for bigger animals. In the harsh reality of the wild, showing any sign of weakness, sickness, or pain is basically putting a giant neon sign over your head that says, "Easy snack, come and get it." So, evolution hardwired your adorable little couch potato to hide their suffering at all costs. It is a survival mechanism, a biological poker face. They will purr, they will eat, and they will try to act as tough as a lion, even when they are hurting inside. As cat parents, this puts us in a really tricky position. We cannot just wait for them to come to us and say, "Hey human, my left knee is killing me today." We have to become zoological detectives. We have to look for the tiny, microscopic shifts in their daily routines. So let's put on our detective hats and uncover the 7 hidden signs that your masterful little actor is actually in distress. Have you ever played the frustrating game of "Where on earth is my cat?" You know exactly the drill I am talking about. You walk around your apartment shaking a bag of treats, checking inside the washing machine, peering under the heavy living room sofa, and even looking on top of the high kitchen cabinets. Usually you find your fluffy dictator sleeping in the most uncomfortable-looking dusty corner, completely ignoring the luxurious, fluffy cat tree you spent 3 hours assembling. It is a classic cat parent experience, and we usually just laugh it off, take a funny picture for our social media and call them quirky. But did you know that this innocent game of hide-and-seek can actually be the very first secret sign that your cat is suffering in silence? It is absolutely true. While we think they are just being their normal antisocial selves, excessive hiding is actually a massive red flag in the world of feline zoopsychology. If your cat suddenly decides that the dark space under the guest bed is their new permanent residence, they are not just playing hard to get. They might be dealing with a serious internal issue. So, before you just assume your cat is taking a really long nap, you need to pay close attention to this major behavioural shift. Now, why exactly do they retreat to the shadows when they feel terrible? It all goes back to that wild, predatory instinct we talked about earlier. When a cat is in pain, they feel incredibly vulnerable. Their inner monologue is basically saying, "I am compromised, my defences are down, and if a coyote walks into this living room, I am toast." So they find a place where they feel completely protected from all sides. A closet, a tight space behind the bookshelf, or deep under the blankets. We as humans seek comfort and attention when we are sick. We want soup, tea, and someone to pat our heads. Cats are the exact opposite. They want isolation. The biggest mistake you can make is thinking, "Oh, he is just being an independent cat today." There is a huge difference between a cat who likes a quiet afternoon nap and a cat who is actively isolating themselves from the family dynamic. If your normally social kitty, who usually greets you at the door or aggressively demands dinner at exactly 5 p.m., suddenly vanishes for 24 hours, your alarm bells should be ringing loudly. This is nature's way of telling you that the biological poker face is starting to crack under the pressure. So, how do you test this without dragging an angry cat out from under the bed? It is time for the ultimate treat and toy assessment. If your cat is hiding, go grab their absolute favourite high-value snack. You know the one, the smelly wet food or those crunchy treats they usually commit crimes for. Shake the bag near their hiding spot. A healthy, normal cat who was just enjoying a private nap will usually stretch, yawn, and come trotting out to claim their prize. A cat that is suffering, however, will completely ignore the holy grail of snacks. They might just stare at you with dull eyes or tuck their head further down. You can also try waving their favourite feather wand. If they do not even track the movement with their eyes, you have a problem. Please never force a hiding cat out by pulling their legs or dragging them, as this can cause them even more physical pain and destroy their trust in you. Instead, gently remove the obstacles around them or dismantle the hiding spot if you need to get them into a carrier for the vet. Remember, a hiding cat is a frightened cat, and a frightened cat is very often a sick cat trying to protect itself from the world. Let's move on to sign number 2, and this one is the ultimate test of your patience as a cat parent. Changes in litter box habits. Oh yes, we are talking about the dreaded surprise poop on your expensive Persian rug, or the mysterious puddle on your fresh laundry. When this happens, our human brains immediately go into drama mode. We think, he is doing this on purpose. He is getting revenge because I was late serving breakfast, or because I petted the neighbour's dog. We anthropomorphise their behaviour, assuming our sweet little angels are plotting malicious, calculated revenge against our home decor. But here is the funny and slightly tragic truth. Cats do not do revenge. They simply do not have the cognitive capacity to think, I am mad at Susan, therefore I will ruin her favourite sneakers. If your perfectly litter-trained cat suddenly starts having accidents outside the box, they are not trying to send you a hate letter. They are waving a massive, flashing red flag that says something is terribly wrong with their plumbing, or they are in excruciating pain. Blaming them for bad behaviour in this situation is one of the biggest mistakes a cat parent can make. To understand why they choose your bed or the rug instead of their perfectly good litter box, we have to look at how cats associate pain. Let's say your cat has a urinary tract infection, which is incredibly common and super painful. When they go into their litter box to pee, they feel a burning sensation. In their logical little feline brains, they do not think, I have a bacterial infection in my bladder. Instead, they think, every time I step into this plastic box with the sandy gravel, my body hurts. The box is attacking me. So what do? They try to find a place that looks completely different and feels super soft, hoping it won't hurt this time. Your fluffy blanket, the pile of clean laundry, or the bathroom mat become their new experiments. They are literally running away from the pain. Feline lower urinary tract disease, kidney issues, or painful crystals in their urine are deadly serious. If a male cat is straining in the litter box and nothing is coming out, that is not a behaviour issue. That is a fatal medical emergency, and you have hours, not days, to get to a vet. So next time you step in a wet spot, take a deep breath, put away your anger, and call the doctor. Of course, before you panic, you have to rule out the environmental factors, because sometimes we humans are the ones making the mistakes. The golden rule of feline zoopsychology for litter boxes is the N+1 rule. If you have 1 cat, you need 2 boxes. If you have 2 cats, you need 3 boxes. If you have 3 cats, well, your house is basically a giant sandbox now. Congratulations! You also need to look at the hygiene. Cats have incredibly sensitive noses. If you haven't scooped the box in 3 days, asking them to use it is like someone asking you to use a terrifying, filthy public restroom at a gas station. They are going to find a cleaner spot, and that spot is your bed. Also, consider if you recently changed the brand of litter. Maybe you bought those fancy scented crystals that smell like lavender, but to your cat, it feels like walking on broken glass and smells like chemical warfare. But if your setup is absolutely perfect, the boxes are sparkling clean, the litter is unscented and soft, and your cat is still squatting in the living room while staring you directly in the eyes, it is not defiance. It is a desperate cry for medical help. All right, let's talk about sign number 3, bizarre grooming habits. We all know cats are incredibly clean animals. They spend almost half of their waking hours grooming themselves. It is a sign of a happy, confident kitty. But what happens when that healthy habit turns into a terrifying obsession? I am talking about over-grooming. Have you ever noticed your cat licking their belly so much that they actually create a bald spot? It looks like they ran a lawnmower over their stomach. We usually joke about it, saying they are trying to become a hairless Sphinx cat, or that they are just preparing for swimsuit season. But a cat licking themselves bald is a massive indicator of suffering. When they aggressively chew on their skin, pull out clumps of fur, or lick the same leg until it is red and raw, they are trying to tell you something. This behavior is called psychogenic alopecia, and it is the feline equivalent of a human nervously biting their fingernails down to the quick. It is a physical manifestation of deep underlying distress, and ignoring it will only make the bald patches bigger and the underlying problem much worse for your poor furry friend. So why do they do it? For a cat, the act of licking releases endorphins. It is a self-soothing mechanism. When they are stressed, anxious, or in physical pain, they start licking to calm themselves down. It could be severe environmental stress, like you bringing a new noisy puppy into the house, moving to a new apartment, or even just rearranging the living room furniture. Cats hate change, and stress physically hurts them. But very often, over-grooming is a direct response to physical pain or allergies. If a cat has painful arthritis in their left hip, they cannot massage the joint with their paws, so they will lick the skin over that hip obsessively. If they have a food allergy or flea bites, their skin feels like it is constantly on fire, and licking is the only way they know how to scratch the itch. If you see your cat aggressively grooming a specific spot, do not just put a ridiculous sweater on them to stop it and call it a day. You have to find out what is driving them crazy. Is it a hidden wound? Joint pain? Parasites? The bald spot is just the smoke. You need the vet to help you find the fire. On the completely opposite end of the spectrum is undergrooming, and this is just as serious. You know how your cat usually looks like a majestic, fluffy supermodel? Well, if you suddenly notice that their coat looks greasy, dull, and covered in dandruff, or if they have giant mats of fur forming on their back and tail, they haven't suddenly become a messy teenager rebelling against showers. A cat that stops grooming is a cat that is profoundly uncomfortable. Think about the gymnastics required for a cat to clean themselves. They have to twist their spines, lift their legs over their heads, and bend like a pretzel. If your cat is suffering from osteoarthritis, spinal pain, or severe dental disease, these grooming yoga poses become absolute torture. It hurts their back to twist, or it hurts their mouth to pull at the fur. Senior cats are especially prone to this. We often just shrug and say, "Oh, he is getting old and lazy." No. Age is not a disease, but arthritis is. If your once pristant fluff ball is starting to look like a greasy street urchin, they need a thorough medical checkup, some pain management, and maybe some help with a soft brush from their favourite human. Sign number 4 is one that will definitely keep you awake at night. Drastic changes in vocalization. Let's talk about the infamous 3 a.m. zoomies and the concert of the feline people. Every cat owner knows the joy of being startled awake by a sound that resembles a dying alien in the hallway. Sometimes it is just normal cat behavior. They are nocturnal predators, and sometimes they just really need to hunt that imaginary moth in the dark. But if your cat's vocal patterns suddenly change, it is a huge warning sign. If your usually quiet, introverted cat starts pacing the halls and howling loudly for no apparent reason, they are not just practicing for a feline opera, they are trying to communicate distress. Conversely, if you have a Siamese or an Oriental Shorthair, breeds that are famous for never shutting up and narrating every single moment of their lives, and they suddenly go completely mute, that silence is deafening. A sudden change in how much, how loud, or the pitch of their meow is their way of desperately trying to bridge the communication gap between our two species. You really have to learn how to decode the meow. A happy cat trills, chirps, and gives those short, cute little meows when you open a can of food. But the sound of suffering is completely different. It is often a low-pitched, guttural yowl. It sounds deep, drawn out, and genuinely mournful. If your cat makes this sound while using the litter box, eating, or when you pick them up, it is a direct vocalization of sharp pain. High blood pressure and hyperthyroidism, which are very common in older cats, can also cause excessive, frantic vocalization. They feel restless, their heart is racing, and they literally do not know what to do with all that nervous energy, so they scream. It is easy to get incredibly frustrated when your cat is howling at the moon while you are trying to sleep before a big day at work. You might be tempted to just yell at them to be quiet or lock them in the bathroom. But remember, they are not doing it to torture you. They are screaming into the void because something inside their body feels terribly wrong, and you are the only one who can help them fix it. For senior cats, this late-night howling can be particularly heartbreaking because it is often linked to feline cognitive dysfunction, which is essentially cat dementia. As they age, their brains change. They might wake up in the middle of the night in a dark living room and suddenly forget where they are, where their litter box is, or where you are sleeping. They become disoriented, frightened, and confused. So they sit in the middle of the room and cry out of pure anxiety. Sometimes losing their sight or their hearing can also trigger this loud vocalization. If a cat is going deaf, they cannot regulate the volume of their own voice anymore, so they just yell at maximum capacity. If you have an older kitty who has turned into a midnight opera singer, try leaving a few small nightlights on around the house so they can navigate better. Give them extra reassurance, call their name softly, and guide them back to bed. But most importantly, talk to your vet about brain-supporting supplements. Don't just buy earplugs. Investigate why your best friend is crying in the dark. Moving on to sign number 5. Sudden aggression and severe irritability. Picture this. You and your cat are having a wonderful, cozy evening on the couch. They are purring. You are giving them the good chin scratches. Everything is perfect. Then suddenly, completely out of nowhere, they turn around, latch onto your hand with their teeth, and bunny kick your arm into oblivion. What just happened? Did you activate a secret self-destruct button? Well, sometimes this is just overstimulation. You hit the belly trap, or they just got tired of being touched. But if a normally affectionate, cuddly cat suddenly turns into a hissing, spitting little demon every time you try to interact with them, you have a major problem on your hands. Sudden aggression is one of the most reliable indicators of hidden pain in animals. When a cat hurts, their tolerance for everything else drops to 0. They do not have the patience for your hugs, for the dogs sniffing their tail, or for the kids running around. Their pain makes them cranky, irritable, and highly defensive. When a cat is suffering from a localized injury, they will do everything in their power to protect that specific area of their body. Let's say your cat jumped off the counter and slightly sprained their lower back. You can't see the injury because of all the fur, and they are trying to walk normally to hide it. But the moment you reach down to stroke their back, their defense systems activate. They anticipate that your heavy, clumsy human hand is going to cause a massive spike in pain. So, before you can even touch the sore spot, they hiss, swat, or bite. It is a preemptive strike. They are saying, "Back off, human. My parts are broken and you are going to make it worse." If you notice that your cat reacts aggressively only when you touch a certain part of their body, like the base of the tail, their stomach, or their ears, you have just found the source of their suffering. Do not take the bite personally. Do not punish them for acting out. They are acting entirely on instinct to protect themselves from further damage. Another fascinating and terrifying aspect of this is redirected aggression. Let's say your cat is suffering from a terrible toothache. Their mouth is throbbing constantly. Because they are in chronic pain, their nervous system is on absolute high alert. They are like a ticking time bomb of stress. Suddenly, they see a strange stray cat out the window, or they hear a loud noise outside. The sudden stimulus pushes them over the edge, but they can't attack the stray cat outside, and they can't attack the toothache. So they turn around and attack the closest moving target, which happens to be your innocent ankles walking past them to the kitchen. It seems like random psychopathic behaviour to us, but in the world of zoopsychology, it is a classic pain response. To decode their mood, you have to watch their body language. Watch the ears. Are they pinned back flat like airplane wings? Watch the tail. Is it thrashing aggressively side to side? If you see these signs combined with uncharacteristic anger, your fluffy friend isn't turning evil. They are begging for a painkiller. Let's dive into sign number 6, subtle changes in eating and drinking habits. Now, every cat parent knows that cats can be incredibly picky eaters. You can buy them the most expensive organic gourmet salmon pate, and they will look at you with total disgust and demand cheap, dry kibble instead. We laugh and call them food snobs. But there is a massive difference between a cat being a picky diva and a cat who is suffering. A major red flag is a cat who runs to the food bowl when they hear the can open, acts super excited, sniffs the food, and then slowly walks away without taking a single bite. They are hungry, they want to eat, but something is stopping them. If a cat goes without eating for more than 24 to 48 hours, it is a life-threatening emergency. Cats can rapidly develop a condition called fatty liver disease, hepatic lipidosis, when they stop eating, which can be fatal. Never assume they are just going on a diet or trying to manipulate you into buying a different brand of food. A starving cat is a cat in a medical crisis. Often, the culprit behind this heartbreaking behaviour is dental disease, which is the silent epidemic of the cat world. By the time they are 3 years old, a massive percentage of cats have some form of dental issue, like gingivitis or tooth resorption, where the body literally attacks its own teeth. It is incredibly painful. Watch how they eat. Do they pick up a piece of kibble, drop it and try again? Do they chew exclusively on one side of their mouth, tilting their head weirdly? Are they drooling excessively? These are all signs of severe oral pain. Also, pay close attention to the water bowl. While cats usually don't drink a ton of water, if you suddenly catch your cat hovering over the water bowl, drinking constantly, or practically sleeping next to the fountain, it is not just because they are thirsty. Excessive thirst is a massive, flashing neon sign for kidney disease, diabetes, or hypothyroidism. If you are filling up the water bowl twice as often, or finding giant, heavy clumps of pee in the litter box, do not ignore it. Your cat's internal organs might be crying out for help. Finally, we arrive at sign number 7, altered posture and facial expressions. Cats are incredibly expressive creatures, but their expressions are subtle. Let's talk about the famous cat loaf or meatloaf position. We all love it when they tuck their paws under their chest and look like a little furry loaf of bread. It is adorable. But there is a huge difference between a relaxed loaf and a pain loaf. When a cat is truly relaxed, their head is resting down, their eyes are soft or half closed, and their body looks soft and melty. But when a cat is experiencing severe abdominal pain or chest pain, they will adopt a rigid, tense version of the meatloaf. Their front paws might be extended slightly instead of tucked, keeping their chest off the ground to relieve pressure. Their back is hunched tightly, their head is lowered but rigid, and their facial muscles are tight. If you look closely at their face, their eyes might be squinting, their whiskers pulled back flat against their cheeks, and their ears slightly rotated outwards. This tense, guarded posture means they are bracing against intense internal suffering. Mobility changes are another huge part of altered posture, and we often just write them off as a normal part of getting older. But remember what we said. Age is not a disease. If your cat used to leap directly from the floor to the top of the refrigerator with the grace of an Olympic gymnast, but now they hesitate for a long time, stare at the target, and decide to use a chair as a stepping stone instead, they are adjusting to pain. They aren't getting lazy, their joints are screaming. You might notice them going down the stairs with a stiff, bunny-hopping motion instead of a smooth trot. You might see them struggling to get their back legs into a litter box that has high sides. Cats are masters of compensating for physical deficits. They will alter their entire biomechanical way of moving just to avoid putting pressure on a sore hip or a bad knee. If you notice your cat calculating their jumps, missing jumps, or avoiding high places altogether, they are desperately trying to manage their chronic pain on their own. To wrap up these physical tells, we absolutely must destroy the biggest myth in cat history, the purr. Since we were kids, we were taught that a purring cat is a happy cat. And yes, most of the time, that deep, rumbling motorboat sound means they are content and relaxed. But here is the crazy, mind-blowing truth from zoopsychology. Cats also purr when they are terrified, when they are in excruciating pain, and even when they are dying. The frequency of a cat's purr has been shown to have bone healing and tissue repairing properties. It is a biological self-soothing mechanism, similar to how a human might rock back and forth or hum a song when experiencing severe trauma. If your cat is hiding under the bed, sitting in that tense meatloaf position, and purring louder than ever, they are not happy. They are trying to heal themselves. You have to look at the whole picture, the posture, the eyes, the context. By understanding these subtle shifts in their body language, posture, and facial expressions, you become the advocate your cat desperately needs when they cannot speak for themselves. And there you have it, cat parents. You have officially graduated from our crash course in feline zoopsychology. Now you know exactly what is going on inside that mysterious, fluffy head of theirs. The next time your cat ignores their favourite food, leaves a surprise on the rug, or aggressively grooms their belly, you will know that they aren't just being a jerk, they might actually be asking for your help in the only way they know how. Despite all the wild nighttime zoomies, the knocked-over water glasses and the occasional attitude, we absolutely adore these little furry aliens, don't we? They depend on us to be their voice and their protectors. So, keep a close eye on your purring machines, and don't hesitate to call the vet if your gut tells you something is off. If this video helped you understand your cat a little better, please smash that like button, subscribe to the channel for more awesome cat secrets, and share this video with every cat parent you know. You might just save a kitty's life. Now, before you go, answer this in the comments. What is the funniest or weirdest way your cat tries to get your attention? Let's read some hilarious stories down below. See you in the next video.